Hi, and welcome to Team 17's Engineering 132 project titled Student Performance Assessment Tool. Today I'll be walking you through our GUI and the process that we used to create it. So our project seeks to evaluate the possibility for success of students using metrics that include more than just GPA and grades. So we wanted to take a deeper look at how students are successful inside the classroom. So we asked the user for inputs divided into three different categories. We first look at how they're doing outside the classroom, then how they're doing inside the classroom, and finally their team performance. We then use our mathematical model to rate the students on how well they're doing in each of these categories, and the students are given a grade for each category, and that's also combined into a final grade for their overall performance. Then that is turned into an estimated grade for the students. The final report can be viewed in the GUI itself, or also saved as a .txt file, just in case the student would like to save it somewhere and keep it for later reference. So this is the flowchart for our GUI. You start here at the start screen, and you can access three different GUIs from there. You can either check out the citations, get some more information on the project, or start the data input itself. Once you start the data input, you input your name and your section number and some more information about yourself. Then once you continue from there, you go through each section and add a little bit more information about how you're doing in class. Once you get to the finish screen, you're given the option to display it on the GUI on the next screen, which is the report screen, or simply save it as a .txt file. And once that's complete, then you're returned back to the start screen and you can start over. Now from any of these screens, you can return back to the home screen and you have the option to save your progress or start over, or you can simply exit the GUI, and that works through all of these. Now I'm going to walk you through the GUI itself. The first thing we have to do is navigate to the correct folder, which you can see is GUI_project_007_017. To start the GUI, we have to enter the name of the first GUI itself, which is saved as P1_home_GUI_007_017. Now, we started creating our GUI before we were given naming standards, so we named it this because, as you can see on the side here, it makes everything really easy to follow and see what it is. And when we tried to go back and change it to the naming standards that were given to us, we found that we weren't able to do it. So we decided to just leave it this way. So pressing enter brings it up, and you can see we have our main screen here. And you can access now the three main screens that I talked about earlier. If you visit citations, you're just given a list of citations that we use for the project. You can home or exit from here, so we're going to go back home. And we'll also check out about this project, which this just gives a little bit of information on the project and what we set out to accomplish using it. So now we're going to start the assessment. Now the first thing you can see is that, for example, the next button here is not able to be pushed, and that's because we don't have the correct information here. So we put in our name and our section number and our team number. You can see that it becomes available to see. Now let's say somebody was to put in something like that for their team number. The next button you'll see disappears, and it gives you an error message explaining what you need to do. So you need to put an input number, so you can put something like that.
Hello everyone, I'm Sally, and now I want to introduce you my part of the GUI. Firstly, I want to show you the flowchart of the outside of class section. You can see that our group firstly input the static tags, which are titles and explanation of each part, and then we have two edit tags where the user can input their GPA and credit hours. We also have three checkboxes for techniques and four checkboxes for skills. And we also have four push buttons, which are back, exit, home, and continue. And then I want to show you how to use the GUI of this part. You can enter your GPA. Our range of GPA is from 0 to 4.0. For example, you can enter 3.2 here. And for the credit hours, our range is from 0 to 30. We consider double major here. For example, you can enter 16 here, and you can then go to the next question. Do you utilize any of the following? Like, I went to the office hour before, and I did housing problems before, so I can click this too. And are you comfortable with any of the following? That I can do MATLAB, Word, and point. So I click on the 3. I also want to mention that you can also click on home button. There will be a pop-up. Would you like to save your progress? If you click on yes, all the information you put here will be saved, and if you click on no, nothing will be saved.
Now this is the GUI flowchart for our next screen, the in-class portion. As you can see, it begins when the student inputs an Excel file name that has all their scores in it, and from that, at that point, it imports the file and checks to make sure it's a proper file type. And then if the student is lost or isn't sure what to do, they can click on the push button for help. And then from that point on, they have the normal commands, which they can continue to the next slide, exit the GUI, return home, or go back to the previous slide. Now I'll show you what this looks like in MATLAB. So here's what the GUI screen itself looks like. As you can see, we have the text input box. Now, if you're not sure what to do, you click on Format Help, and it comes up with a diagram and a little description of what you're supposed to do. So it explains that where you put your scores, depending on if it's a test score, quiz score, or homework score. So you can exit there. Now, we've already saved a file as good. So we're going to type that in, and you can see, just to confirm that you have the correct file, it pops up with the first 6 elements in the file. So you can see these would be your first 6 grades that you inputted. Now let's say it's put in incorrectly. For example, they just type in that and forget the D. You can see that it will come up as the wrong file name, so it won't be able to import and you won't be able to move on. But then typing in the correct name brings up the first 6 elements, and you can move to the next slide.
In this team performance page, you need to input 3 things. First is input number of meetings per week, next is input the length of meetings, and the third is input your average milestone grade. And there are sidebar to indicate your team efficiency. There are 5 choices: very bad, bad, normal, good, and very good.
My name is Deeya, and one of the interactive GUIs is the Finish GUI that I have created, and this is part of the performance assessment tool that my team has decided to make. And this page is to see what the user wants to see in the report at the end. And as you can see here, we have 2 checkboxes, one to have the report appear on the next screen and one to have the report print to text file. You can click on both, one or none, and then it will go through run student underscore performance. And as you can see, we have 4 push buttons that can lead you either to the back, home, exit, or finish buttons. Now we will go to MATLAB and we can open up the figure. And this is the GUI page that opens up. And as you can see, we have 2 checkboxes again here, one to have the report appear on the screen and one to have the report written to text file. And if you select no options, you will be redirected to the home page upon clicking finish. And if you select save as .text file only, you'll be redirected to the home page upon clicking finish, but your report will be saved as report.txt in the same folder as this GUI.
As we click finish, you can see the final report. Overall, I'm very prepared. Outside of class, I'm somewhat prepared. I'm well prepared inside of class, and my team is very well prepared, and they expect me to get an A or a B. Over here, we're given tips that explain, it gives personalized tips. So for example, I said that I wasn't sure how to use MATLAB very well, so it gives me a tip that I should probably practice my MATLAB before beginning the course. If you click the exit button, you're given the option to exit or not exit. Now once the students have inputted their grades, if they choose the option to have it saved as a text file, all they have to do is come over here and double click on report.txt, and they'll be brought up to their report. So you can see it has their name, section, and team number, overall how prepared they are, the grades in each section, their predicted grade, and then also all of their tips. So that way this can easily be saved as a .text file and sent out to students.